very moment that the holy way, W-H-O-L-L-Y, is the holy way, H-O-L-Y. And so let's take a moment to turn within, to relax, to become fully present, and to find that holy way right inside our hearts, where it lives in the first place. Where we come to know our true home. Our true home is the heart of the universe, the heart of God, which happens to be inside our own heart. So come home to your heart. Let every heartbeat be a reminder to come home to the truth which resides within your heart. Infinite love, infinite wisdom, infinite joy awaits our recognition, our receiving and welcoming. Welcome home. Tell yourself, welcome home. And then slowly and gently bring your attention back. And when you're ready, open your eyes if you wish. Good morning. Hi, everybody. For those of you that are wondering why I'm so excited and why you're all clapping, and which is probably those of you who are here for the first time, and we extend a special, special welcome. I just had a 1-month sabbatical, a mini sabbatical, and I was gone for an entire month. And I did get a sneak peek at the YouTube videos. So it was really great to see some of you and to hear the speakers. I'm so grateful to the 4 wonderful speakers that we had, to our beautiful leadership council who held the fort, to Connie, our office administrator, who's just an incredible treasure, to our beautiful practitioners that held the high watch, and to each and every one of you for showing up and for continuing to support this beautiful center. And so I'm excited. I have a few things to share with you, which actually one Sunday, one talk will not be enough, for sure. And so I'm so glad to be back. This is home, right? Just like it is for you, this is home for me. So welcome back to all of us. A special welcome to those of you who are new, because I believe that there's always perfect right timing for you to arrive at this center. Because what we're about is welcoming everyone, no matter where you've been, what's happened to you, what's going on. This is a place you can call your spiritual home. This is a place where you can get to know yourself, where you can discover more about your spiritual journey, where you can be supported, where you can be educated, because really we are more about a teaching than anything. And we have so much available for anyone to take in that beautiful teaching, some of which you're going to see about later because we have a new class coming up. So I want you to know that I listened to the teachers that we had. The first teacher, Chris Ferraro, who so gently invited us to let go of the old and invite in the new, and to make space for spiritual practices. And then we had my dear beloved friend, Reverend Janice, who's also my prayer partner, speak to you about paying attention, knowing that where your energy goes, where attention goes, your life flows. And then the beautiful Reverend Jennifer Berkeley, who talked a lot about evolution is the result of involution. So what we're talking about is that as within, so without. Your life is just a reflection of your inner life. And then Reverend Michelle was really bringing home this idea that there's nothing and no one to blame, and that forgiveness is a powerful tool to freedom. And then we had a few workshops. Chris taught a workshop, Reverend Jennifer taught a workshop, and Reverend Michelle was going to, but nobody signed up, so we're going to bring her back because that's going to be a powerful workshop. And Dale Allen Hoffman was here for a workshop. So we had a wonderful, sensational summer speaker series, and I hope you all took advantage of it. So the thing we do here always, beginning and ending, is spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes, and for a moment, let these become your own words. Right here, right now, I bring myself fully present to the moment. I come home to my heart. I let my mind connect to my heart. And there's an opening, a flow that rushes in. It is pure love. It is a pure sense of, I am more than this. I am more than this body, than this daily life. I am spirit in physical form. I am having a spiritual experience by means of my human life. And I am so grateful because I claim this life as the divine life that is for my highest and best, and I use it to awaken to my spiritual nature. Every bit of it, every nook and cranny, every crumb. And I ease into my life, knowing that love is all there is. It surrounds me, it fills me, it fuels me, it guides me, it governs me. And so all is well. And I am deeply, deeply blessed. And I'm deeply grateful to be where I am today, because I know that what I'm experiencing is fuel for me being the very best human being I can be. And so I turn this word over to the universal law, which already is working it out for me. And because I'm so open and receptive, there's already a shift in consciousness that is for my highest and best. And so it is. Just double checking. Yes. Okay. So, as I said before, I have a lot to share. I filled a few journals with thoughts, ideas, new workshops, and experiences that I've been having. And I think about life as a story, right? Each of us, our life is like a story. And that story is multi-layered, right? But really, it's a spiritual story. It's a soul story that didn't begin by birth and does not end by death. It's a very big story of which we don't yet know everything, and we probably never will. And within that big story, there are little stories. And those little stories are stories of happiness and joy, and stories of pain and regret and sadness. There's all of that in there, and we don't teach that only the good stories are okay. We don't teach that only the good stories are gifts and blessings. We don't teach that there's something wrong with you if not all your stories are wonderful and beautiful. Michelle talked about that last week, right? About the whole spiritual bypass thing. you didn't hear it, check it out on YouTube. And for me, the story, the main story, and the stories within that main story are all about healing. And this month in July, we talk about healing is revealing wholeness. Healing isn't fixing or curing or changing. Healing is revealing the wholeness that is already in you, that's already you. It's just a mind that says, well, there's some brokenness in there. The soul, the spirit says, no, it's all about wholeness. And so we get to tune in and truly come to know that and then come to live that. So the healing then is about consciousness. We talk about this all the time, right? We say it's all consciousness. Consciousness creates our reality. Consciousness is key. Any healing that needs and wants to happen happens in consciousness. So we can dabble out here and try to fix it or try to support it, but the true healing happens within our consciousness, which is the sum total of all that mind and heart together is. Mind, heart, and soul together is. And that's a journey that doesn't end and doesn't begin. It's a journey that is always taking place for you and for me. And so our life experiences become fodder for awakening to our inner wholeness by means of our consciousness. And it's true for all of us. Anybody disagree so far? Everybody agrees, right? So, I have a story to tell you. It's not my whole story. It's not my soul's story. It's a story within a story that I've been experiencing for the last 3+ months. I have been diagnosed with breast cancer. So I want you to pause, and I want you to notice what you notice. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Notice what you're noticing. Notice what you're thinking. Notice what you're feeling right now. And own it as yours. Don't project it onto me. Own it as yours. Your feeling, your thoughts, your reactions, your consciousness. And now open your eyes. I'm fine. This is no big deal. It's the first thing I heard when I meditated after I got the news. Spirit saying to me, this is no big deal, you've got this. And I know why I have got this, because of this teaching. Because of taking classes without stopping, because of my studies, my meditations, my treatment, my inner work. It's early stage. The medical world says, curable, healable, you'll be fine. It's very small. But on March 22nd, I had a dinner appointment with Lucy and John to talk about their practitioner renewal. March was a little late. Usually it happens in December. And I just came from a mammogram, which I never do. I haven't done one in 14 years. My doctor said, we need to have one on file. I'm like, I don't do those. But something in me said, just get it. So there was miracle number 1, and I have about 6 Sundays worth of miracles to tell you, because there are a lot of them, because that's my life. That's my story. I expect miracles. So I was a little upset, because they did a mammogram and an ultrasound, and I can't hide anything from Lucy and John, so I told them. But I kept it really, really close. And I think sometimes it's really good to keep those little stories within the story close, because everybody has opinions and advice that you don't necessarily want. And I needed to energetically just go within and treat and wrap my mind around it and scream and cry and yell and pity myself. And and then see the magic and the mystery, and then get blissed out, because literally I've been all over the place. You know those big pirate ships at fairs? That's what I've kind of been in, but now it's like here. So I needed that time. So after the mammogram and the ultrasound, there was a biopsy. That's really lovely when they stab a needle in your breast. Jeez. And then the decision was made to have surgery, and I had surgery on my birthday, which I thought was the perfect day, June 26th. And there's more to be revealed, and more treatment to be done, and more understanding, and all that, at all levels, spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, but also decisions that I have to make, because as many of you know, I am very holistic. I like to do the natural route. I always have, but I was very much guided every step of the way to make some smart medical choices, because I still have a lot of living to do. And to trust the process, because even if it means this is the end of my life, which it isn't, I'm okay with that. That's okay. Life is good. It's not the end. That's not what a story ends, right? So you can imagine that there's been a lot going on inside of this. And I've arrived at this place of truly understanding that I get to choose, just like you get to choose when you have a challenge, where you stand. On June 5th, when John and Lucy did their workshop on prosperity, I had an experience. It was 2 days before my sabbatical started. And I had this experience where I know when I'm standing on shaky ground. Do any of you relate? Do you know when you're standing on shaky ground? Yes? Anybody says, I don't know when I stand on shaky ground? Everybody knows, one person. Everybody knows when you're standing on shaky ground. You may not know it instantly, right? But if you check in and you check your thoughts and your feelings, you know when you're standing on shaky ground. It feels like crap. And everything that goes with that. Well, the experience that I had was just step onto sacred ground. Just step onto sacred ground. When you notice you're standing on shaky ground, you don't have to stay there unless you choose to, and it is a choice. And so what I realized, this experience is shaky ground, but it doesn't have to be shaky ground from beginning to end all the time. I can just be aware, oh, I'm shaky ground. Let me check in. How am I feeling? What am I thinking? What do I need? And then step onto the solid ground of my consciousness, of the truth, and of my faith to have a different experience. And so I already knew that because I had already heard this is no big deal. And so our soul story is a consciousness thing, that if you're having a challenge, and I don't know anybody that never has challenges. If you are here, please tell me. I want to pick your brain and your heart, and I want to know how you're doing it. Anybody here never has challenges? Okay, can you see that challenges are just challenges and they're not God's punishments? Challenges are experiences so that you can learn something about yourself, and grow, so that you can evolve. And you can't evolve without involving, without checking in and noticing and paying attention. Because every challenge is a consciousness-raising experience. Every challenge is a healing opportunity. If we look at it that way, it looks completely different than we go, oy vey, here it is again. I'm being punished. Something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with my consciousness. Why me? That creates a whole different experience. That's actually shaky ground, really shaky ground. And so I feel incredibly blessed to have a very solid foundation, a very solid spiritual, mental, emotional foundation. I have been doing my work, and I believe that even if you think you don't need a class because your life is going well, that it's important to take a class because the shit's going to hit the fan at some point or another, I guarantee you. Because that's how life works. Stuff happens. I never thought this was going to happen to me. It's right over my heart, which is a whole other story. Never. I always thought, I've told some of you, that will never be part of my soul experience. The universe is a trickster. Never? Check your never and always, because they will grow you. And so we pay attention, and we use life to awaken to our spiritual nature, which knows not of dis-ease, which knows not of challenges. The challenges are just for us to awaken us and to remember that we're inherently whole. And when we accept that we are inherently whole, healing happens. And healing doesn't always necessarily mean what we think it means. And so my 30-some years of this teaching and really diving in deep still every day. By the way, this is the book of the month. I've already been studying it since July 1. Who else? Nobody. They're in the bookstore. And this is a powerful book, Love and Law by Ernest Holmes. Every month we're doing a book. This is powerful because it has a lot of questions and answers in the back that are really, really helpful. So we always want to be studying something and digging in deep. My spiritual life is a huge part of my solid ground. My spiritual practices, I know some of you don't have time for spiritual practices, but you can't afford not to have time for spiritual practices. I'm telling you. My meditation practice, my treatment practice, my affirmations, all the tools that I've learned along the way, and there's so many more of them. The principles, looking at the principles and saying, okay, so mental equivalent, if the body is a reflection of the mind, and when I have trouble with my eyes, there's something I don't want to see, and I have troubles with my ears, and there's something I don't want to hear, and if I have a bladder infection, I'm pissed off at someone. And if I have cancer, that's about grief, unresolved resentment, hurt, and grief. I didn't think I had any. The universe is trying to get my attention in a different way. So I'm digging into all that and looking at more specifics. That's why I have 6 books that I showed a month ago about mental equivalence, so I can dig a little deeper in case the information doesn't come through my own mind. So I am mining it for gold. I am mining it for gold. Bring it on, universe. I'll take this one, and I'm mining it for gold, and I am trusting that this experience is for me and for my highest and best. It means we all, not just me, when we have a challenge, that we have to stay on the solid ground of our consciousness and this teaching and these principles. It means that we have to decide how to live with it. I'm going to make it really sexy and gracious and beautiful and fun and creative and powerful. Because I don't do victim well. That's maybe why I get impatient when some of you do. And so I get to make choices every step along the way how to take care of this. You know what it's really about? It's like in class we do the Fear to Faith worksheet. It's noticing where we're afraid, shaky ground, and how we step onto solid ground of our faith, which sometimes just means love. To surrender to love, to welcome love. So love is just another word for God. And love is the healer. God is the one healer. When we look for healing through another person, place, or thing, we are on shaky ground. And it's the invitation to know something more deeply. So I have a poem that I wrote about 3 weeks into this experience that came out of my meditation. Oh yes, my beloved, all is well. This is only to awaken you. This is only to get you to see your own divinity. This is only for you to remember your essential wholeness. This is only for you to trust that the whole is greater than the parts. This is only God moving through you. And so when we are on this healing journey of revealing our own wholeness, we notice the conditions that are in the way, whether it be a relationship issue, a health issue, a money issue, a career issue, a self-esteem issue. Let me save my breath. And all those other hundreds of issues. Those are just in the way, and we must move through them. We must heal them. We must make peace with them. And we do that by coming home to the heart. So I want to ask you how to support me. And this is not just about me, because this little information I'm going to give you is really good for all your family and friends. And it's really good for you as well. Because I think when we experience a challenge, the way people react and respond is not always helpful. Would you agree? I'm going to give you a few tips. And if you forget when you speak to me, I will remind you. Do I have your permission? You don't even know yet what I'm saying. Ah! See how quickly I can wrap you around my... No, just kidding. The first thing is, when somebody tells you news that is challenging, notice what you're noticing. Check in with yourself. Own your own experience and your own feelings. And work with that. Let that be information about what you need to heal for yourself, so that you don't project it onto other people or the world, because the world just reflects it back to me. That's what we're seeing in the news today. It's just all unresolved, unhealed stuff that people are projecting onto out there, right? So just check in with yourself. Then listen. Just listen and be present. Without giving advice, unless it's asked. Without telling all the stories of the other people you know with the same challenge. Oh my God, I've heard more stories in these last 3 months of women with breast cancer than I really wanted to hear. I don't need to hear those stories. And you can ask, I have a great story you might want to hear. Just check in. Maybe on a good day I'm open to hearing that story. Maybe I'm open hearing your story, because I know I'm not alone. So, and then there is support. And if you don't know what support is, ask. Don't assume support looks a certain way. Just ask, how may I support you? I'll answer that. Treat for me. And see me perfect, whole, and complete. See me healthy and vibrant and filled with joy as I overcome this challenge. So you don't have to ask me. You got it, right? And love yourself, each other, the person who's sharing the challenge with you, me. Just let there be love. Because love is the one healer. And love is the opposite of fear, right? And so when we are healing from a challenge, all of us, what's most important is that we are present. That we are fully present with what is. And that means that we become a space for God, a space for love, a space for truth, a space for peace. That's what the world needs, by the way, for you to be that space. And then be love, which means that you have to let go of whatever is in the way, or work through it, or heal it, or talk to a practitioner about it, or do whatever you need to do. Take a class. And so it's be present, be love, and believe. Be present, be love, and believe. Be present, so you're a space for God to move through you. Be love, let go of fear, whatever else is in the way. And believe, I'm going to quote something from you from the Science of Mind, Living the Science of Mind. The belief that we do not have the ability to heal arises out of the mistaken idea that our power does the healing, or that the intellect does the healing. All that the will and the intellect could do is to behold or watch the process. There is but one healer. This is the Spirit of truth. There is but one life principle. This is God in us. There is but one final law. This is the law of good. there is but one ultimate impulsion, and this impulsion is love. We must forever rid ourselves of the idea that it's the personal who does the healing. We must know that it's not I, but the Father that dwelleth within me who doeth the work. The divine Spirit is the only actor, the true Savior, all in all, and is now manifesting itself. Being all in all, it has no opposition, competition, or otherness. Life is such a mystery. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. None of us do. We don't know what our next experience is that may challenge or grow us. But when we embrace it, and we know that the healer is within, and that love is all there is, and that we're already whole, then all there is for us to be the revealers of that wholeness, that love, and that truth. And so it is.
So when you heard Reverend Frankie give her medical report, did you feel upset? Did you feel shocked? How about scared? Maybe some people fell into some fear for Reverend Frankie, or maybe even fear for yourself hearing that news, or fear for a family member. When we were the first ones to find out, I went through all those feelings after we had our meeting. And for me, I thought that I had to get that information and go right here. God is all there is. But without those feelings, to get that information and to go to God is all there is spiritual bypass. Being a second-year ministerial student, going through practitioner training, being 5-year licensed practitioner, this is tattooed into my consciousness. I know this, but I have to go through those feelings. And it was from the classes I took when I first got here, Science of Mind 100, right up until my ministerial teaching. It's by attending service every week and by reading the literature, by going through the Science of Mind textbook, that I was able to easily step in to God is all there is. Lucy?
You're a tough cookie, Reverend Frankie. I was upset. I was very upset when I found out Reverend Frankie's medical report. And this is because when I came here for the first time, I was completely broken. And the reason that I am standing here, a practitioner, and on this ministerial path, is because of Reverend Frankie. Because she created a safe space for me, and I have shared this before. She created a space for me to heal. She helped me build a foundation based on spiritual truth, a foundation built based on spiritual principles, so I could use these principles and heal my life. And so Reverend Frankie is a big part of my life, a very big part. So when I found out about this cancer, I was devastated. And I was sad. I was very sad. And these are normal feelings. You hear that someone that you love is going through something, of course you're going to get sad and scared. But I knew that being scared and being fearful for her was not going to do any good to her. And so I went back to the very same foundation that she helped me build. I went back to the spiritual truth, to the principles of this teaching. And from that place, I was able, and I am able to hold that space for her so she can do her healing. And so every day, when I do my spiritual work, and she knows this, between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, I am treating for her. I am knowing the truth about Reverend Frankie, that she is healthy, whole, and complete. And so we went to Italy this past week on a spiritual pilgrimage. And in every cathedral, at every cathedral, we did our treatments. We did our affirmative prayers for our beloved Reverend Frankie, seeing and knowing her divine truth, her wholeness.
So there's no coincidence that this month's theme is wholeness. There's no coincidence that I'm the practitioner on today and invited Lucy to come on board. There's no coincidence in all of this. In our spiritual mind treatment, and for anybody who was here for the first time, spiritual mind treatment is affirmative prayer. And in affirmative prayer, we have 5 steps. But the first step is recognizing the qualities of God. And 2 of those qualities are health and wholeness. Say that with me. Health and wholeness. They are God's qualities. In our second step for spiritual mind treatment, it's unification. It's knowing that those qualities are my qualities. When I know that I am health and I am wholeness, it is so simple to know that truth for Reverend Frankie. And that's what I'm telling you. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm giving you all permission, all of you, today, by the power vested in me as a second-year ministerial student out of Dayton, Ohio. I'm absolving you of any kind of guilty feelings about fear. I'm absolving you of any guilty feelings about being scared. But I'm passing on an invitation to you. I'm passing on an invitation to get in touch with that unification of your health and your wholeness. And that's how we support our spiritual leader. Because once you know that truth for you, you know it for Reverend Frankie. Once you know that truth for you, you know it for anybody else that comes to you with any kind of health issue. Lucy and I went to the Vatican. We spent a half a day there. We did an Italian Mass. We walked around. We prayed. I really wanted to see the Pope. I thought because I was a second-year ministerial student, might take a couple of minutes. And then we went to Assisi. Oh, my God, you want to talk about stepping onto holy ground? You feel it the minute you step on. We went to the cathedral where the tomb of St. Francis of Assisi is. And anybody in recovery, that's our 11-step prayer, and we think we own that, but we don't. But it was a little monastery down the road. There were no lines. As a matter of fact, there was nobody there except me and Lucy. And there wasn't the shiny gold and the beautiful figures. It was a cement monastery. The podium was a big rock made out of cement. And in the sacred, sacred silence, something happened. Indescribable. To Lucy and I at the same time. It's not that we had a shift, but there was a feeling. Something so powerful happened. Lucy opened her phone and sent this following text to Reverend Frankie.
As we are sitting at the monastery in Assisi, in the silence, in the sacredness, we are knowing your truth. you are healthy, whole, and complete. And the healing presence within you, which is God, heals every cell of your being. Healing takes place right here, right now. You in New Jersey and us in Assisi. Only oneness. We love you.
And so it is.
Thank you.
So aren't I blessed to have these two support me? It has been an unbelievable journey to follow my intuition and to share when it was right to share and to who to share it with. And I only shared it with my own family 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So to follow that intuition and then to really have so much support, our practitioners, our leadership council, Stephanie, who I decided to share it with as well because we created such a bond when she was the chair for the leadership council. I have a small circle of really close friends that are incredible support. I have this amazing consciousness to bring in the right medical people who have all been little angels on the path. So, and now you. So I feel incredibly blessed and grateful, and I'm embracing the journey. So now we'll have our ushers come forward. This is your time to share your support with our center, because you can only imagine that it takes something to support this center, and we're asking you to really look inside and to be a conscious, committed giver. While I was away, Connie conveniently took money out of my bank account because I'm an auto giver. So if that's something that you want to do while you're away, it's your pennies that supports this center. So we invite you to be a generous, responsible, committed part of the community and to give. So let's take our gift and place it on our hearts and let us know this. We live in an abundant universe. That's the truth. And so our openness and our receptivity to this truth, that we're inherently abundant just like we're inherently whole, allows for the divine flow of good. And right now, doors and windows and pathways have been opened, and we are the recipient of the good and the greater good. At the same time, we circulate that good by supporting the places where we are spiritually nourished, this being one of them. So our gift today is profoundly blessed. It does good work, and it supports this beautiful center and its health, and so it is.